So this is class 151 on the Golden Doves. Welcome to Torat Andalus. We're starting section 4, Textuality in Rabbinic tradition. We're coming off the horrible pogrom massacre of Jews in the land of Israel. Unspeakable horrors. I just want to say that if you know any people that have a doubt as to whether Israel should completely annihilate the Palestinian Nazis, Hamas terrorists, if you know anybody, then you should know those people are actual Nazis. I don't care what their ethnicity is. I don't care if they're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, doesn't matter. Anybody who has any doubts or reservations as to whether Israel should annihilate completely the Hamas, the infrastructure, just completely turn everything into rubble. If you know anybody who has a doubt as to that, you should know that those people are Nazis. They're modern day Nazis, the people protesting in Brooklyn College, etc., all Nazis. You need to know that because you need to understand the people around you. In Germany, we made a mistake. We didn't realize that people are Nazis. Had we known, maybe we would have been able to prevent the tragedy of the Holocaust. These people are no different. They're actually worse than the Germans because they're unabashed about their hatred of Jews. It's really sick and pathological. Anyway, I have to say that because it's a public service, and you need to know that. So although this is a Golden Doves class, our goal here is to enlighten people. So I apologize for that. Deviation from the topic. We're going to go now to the topic. We're on page 84, Textuality in Rabbinic Tradition. Textuality means the study of text. How do you approach text? This is a completely foreign thing to the Western mind. What do I need to know how to approach text? I either know how to read or I don't know how to read. What's the issue here? All right. So, textuality designates that which pertains to the structural and functional aspects of a text. So every text has a structure. There's a way the topic or the content is built, right, organized, and there's a function, right? You may have an introduction, you may have a middle, you may have a conclusion, for example. Regardless of whether the format is written or oral. Now, a text doesn't need to be written. You can have an oral text. I gave a derasha the other day in my knis, and somebody came to me. He said, Rabbi, that was just unbelievable. And he noted how the way I built the derasha, he said it was just unbelievable. I saw how you built it. It was like an architect building a building. I thought that was a very intelligent comment because the idea of text and textuality is to have a sense of the way text is organized and the functionality of that organization, and it doesn't have to be a written text. So that was a derasha, that was an oral text. Text is somewhat more difficult to define. So we know textuality has to do with text, and the text can be either oral or written. What is text? That's a bit more difficult. Within the limits of this work, it will be defined as a composition designed for transmission. So any composition designed for this purposes of this work, you can have a different interpretation of text. This doesn't have to be, but we need to have a definition, a working definition, so we can go forward. So for purposes of this work and for purposes of rabbinic thinking, indeed, what is a text? A text is a composition, meaning composition of words, designed for transmission. So when I teach my children, Torah Sivalanu, Moshe Melashai Kilat Yaakov, that's a text. It's a composition of words, and I'm transmitting it to my children, and they will transmit it to their children, right? As my father transmitted it to me. That's a composition of words designed for transmission. That's a written text. It can be an oral text. I teach my sons. That's an oral text designed for transmission. My father taught it to me. I'm teaching it to my sons. As we shall see, transmission is essential to the very notion of text, right? So transmission, the idea of text and transmission are inseparable. In Jewish thinking, a text is that which wants to be transmitted, and if it doesn't want to be transmitted, or if it's not designed for transmission, it's not a text by definition. The central theme of this chapter is the concept of text among the rabbis. So in sections 1 and section 2 of this chapter, we will look at the concept of text among the rabbis and its constitutive elements and functions. That's going to be section 3 and section 4. As reflected in Talmudic tradition, my father is not making up what he's saying. He is part of the tradition of the Tannaim, Emoraim, etc., Geonim, Hachmei Andalusia. So he's going to give you these ideas from the Gemara. The focus of analysis will be the formative period of rabbinic tradition from after the destruction of the temple, more precisely the destruction of Beter, until the formulation of the Mishnah by Judah the Prince. And the focus, because you can focus on, text in the days of Sofer, text in the days of Moshe, text in the days of Yoshua. My father will focus specifically on from the days of let's say the formation of the Tanaim, from the formative period of rabbinic tradition, Hillel, Shammai, right? That's going to be the starting point, let's say. And it's going to go all the way down to the destruction of Beter, which was 135, whereas the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash was 68. The underlying thesis of this study may be summarized as follows. So my father is going to start by summarizing the basic thesis of this section 4, chapter 4 of Golden Doves. Under the leadership of Rabbi Akiva and his school, the rabbis undertook a project of momentous importance: the collection and official formulation of Jewish tradition. So Rabbi Akiva started this new movement. The movement was new. Until now, it was never done. Until now, there was no official formulation of the Torah Shebe'al Peh of Jewish tradition. Rabbi Akiva started this project, right? A project without parallel until about half a millennium later, when Muslim scholars collected and edited the Hadith, accepting perhaps the formulation of Roman law. About half a century, millennium later, the Muslims, they tried to imitate the Rabbeinu HaKadosh, so they have the Hadith. Roman law, of course, is also a summary of law. This project was a catalyst for new textuological concepts. So now that you're going to start composing the Torah Shebe'al Peh, now that you're going to start composing the Torah Shebe'al Peh in an official formulation, so you have to start thinking, okay, we're going to have this text. How is it going to be organized? What's going to be, are we going to have particular parameters as to how we formulate things? What do we want to put in the text? What don't we want to put in, right? So these are all questions that came up. So you develop new textuological concepts. To begin with, it became imperative to distinguish between written and oral text. First of all, you have written text, you have oral text. You have to make a distinction there. Is this going to be oral? Is this going to be written? One question. This difference was postulated on the basis that only the scripture possesses a written text, that is, a masorah, or duly registered text that could be expounded at the orthographic level independently of its linguistic sense. Okay, so first of all, what is a written text? Let's start with that. So, the scripture is a written text, the Chumash, right? The Chumash is a written text. What does that mean even? That you write it? I mean, no, that's not what it means. Of course, you write it, yes, but there's many things that are written, okay? That doesn't make it a written text. There's a masorah. That the text of the Chumash is duly registered, meaning every letter in the text of the Chumash is registered. Yes, there should be an aleph here. Yes, there should be a shin here. Yes, there should be a taf here. No, there shouldn't be a yod here, right? That's a masorah. So the Jewish people, I think we're probably the only people in the world that had a masorah for our text, right? Which is to say, we registered every single letter in the Chumash. Not only that, so on the one hand we have every single letter is registered, but then they can interpret the text at the orthographic level, meaning at the level of the letters You can say this letter represents, has this and this meaning. That letter has that and that meaning. Even though the linguistic sense of the letters together forming words and the words forming sentences has a different meaning, which we call the peshat, let's say, but you can make derashot on the letters because it's a text. Hence, a profound concern, because it's a written text. I'm sorry, I missed the most important word, because it's a written text. Hence, a profound concern developed with written aspects of the scriptures, the orthography of words. How do you spell this word? There was a profound concern now. Defective in full spelling. Sometimes you have a yod, sometimes you don't have a yod. Sometimes you have a vav, sometimes you don't have a vav. And calligraphic ornamentations. They had the ketarim on the letters, right? So those ketarim on the letters also can be expounded upon and given meaning. These became significant. They could acquire meaning through canonical exegesis. You can make the Lashon not just on the letters, but even on the ketarim. The perception of the past was also affected by this concern. For example, okay, we're going to stop here.